County talk. It has just finished. Bristol 0, Notts County 1 after an 86th minute deflected goal from Dennis. Not the prettiest game. Not the prettiest game at all. If we didn't go on to win that game, I know we're down to 10 men, but there was, some concerns in there, sort of in that first half before we get the red card and go down to 10 men. But wow, moments like that in football, it's what it's all about. The away end absolutely erupts, and that really was one of those games where I was gutted not to be there. I'm obviously watching from overseas. But look, I'll get into the game. Started off, I thought we looked a little bit nervy. Wasn't the best display of football from that first half. And obviously, Hall gets the red card. Is it a red card? I think you've not. I think you've got to give yourself the chance and not, leave the ground like that. And you see them given. And I think if it's against you, you're screaming red card. If it's your player, you're thinking that's a yellow card. And I think if it's a yellow card, neither team can really complain. But Hall just has to not put himself in that position. But look, he's a young player. It's part of the learning curve, isn't it? Unfortunately, today it's not had a binding on the result. So sort of get away with one really. But look, I think I have to give credit to the players in that second half, because we absorbed a lot of pressure. We rode our luck at times of 100%. I think Bristol hit the post the woodwork, 3 or 4 times. We were very lucky in that regard. And I've got to give a special mention to Roos as well. We've been critical of him, and rightly so. He's been under par on occasion this season, on more than 1 or 2 occasions as well. But today he was our saviour. He made 2-3 really, really good saves. Even some of the ones that were sort of hitting the woodwork, you felt like he had them covered almost. So look, we've got to give him credit when he plays well, and he plays really well today. On another day he concedes those chances, and it's a completely different game. But that is just football, and I can't help but feel like it's not a huge sort of drop off, is it? Because we're 4th, but from the little bit of a drop off that we have had in performances, I feel like that result and the way that it was got. It does wonders. It does absolute wonders for everyone, for confidence. Look, we've got a few injuries now. Palmer's out, and I feel like we missed him today. We saw that midfield; it was a little bit overrun, and it's going to take a bit of time, I think, to see sort of a partnership appearing in that midfield that we saw with Robertson and Palmer. But look, Robertson for me, he was great today. The only thing I had to say about Robertson is, I like this about him. I like that edge that he has. I like that nasty edge that he has. He'll fly into a challenge, he doesn't mind getting a yellow card, but you do feel like sometimes he's so close. I think he was lucky to not be sent off today, to be honest with you. Like late on in the game, he does a foul just in their half. He didn't really need to commit, but he did, but he was lucky. But look, when you're playing on that sort of edge and you're on that line, it is difficult to rein it in, I suppose, because you're playing on adrenaline and there's so much resting on the game. So I'm not criticising him. I'm just saying in times you just feel like maybe you could restrain a little bit. But look, I think to weather the storm as much as we did in that second half when we were down to 10 men and Bristol put it on us time after time after time, we defended really, really well, I thought. Not the prettiest of watches, to be honest with you. I was watching through my hands at times because they were just so close on so many occasions. But look, we didn't concede. It's a clean sheet. Dennis back on the score sheet. Whether it was a heavy deflection or not, that moment in itself was brilliant. And I'm delighted. I'm delighted for everybody, for the players, because those games aren't easy. They're really not easy. And there's been a lot of changes due to injuries. Platt comes back in, obviously. He's sort of not finding his feet again, but sort of getting back up to speed. So look, there's been a lot to contend with in the last few weeks, and there's been a lot to contend with in today's game, and we've come away victorious. And I know on paper, look, Bristol have now lost their last 8 games, which is just dire, and I'm sure they'll be feeling absolutely wounded after the sort of amount of chances that they did have in the second half. But that's just football. But like I say, on paper, we should have been beating these going into this game, and we were worried. Me and Tom were worried. We were talking about this on the Pavers Perspective on Thursday. Not seem to be the teams that, you know, when a club could be on a bad run with, like, for example, Bristol had lost their last 7. Not to be the sort of team to end that. And up until the 86th minute, it was looking like that. You know, we were about to draw 0-0 with them, and they were piling the pressure on. I actually said, and Tom may back me up on this, he may not, but I actually put it in one of our group chats with a few of his Notts fans in. When Hall got the red card, I said, I think that could play into our hands a little bit, because Bristol are under a lot of pressure to win. A lot of pressure to win, because they've lost so many games on the bounce. We were down to 10. So the amount of pressure that was on them to win, and it would have taken, you know, huge amounts of character, I think, to not buckle under that pressure. And Bristol just couldn't quite get it over the line today. From a Bristol fan's perspective, I'm sure it was extremely frustrating with the amount of chances they had and have been having, and they just couldn't get it over the line. But look, I'm here. I'm a Notts fan, so I'm happy. You know, I'm not going to get carried away. I don't think it was the prettiest performance from Notts, but unfortunately, you have to get a bit ugly sometimes when it's like that, when you're down to 10 men. So look, credit. I think you have to give nothing but credit to Notts, and hope that we can sort of move on from this now and see some improvements. The only thing I'm sort of worried about is that midfield with Palmer missing. But we'll sort of see how that develops. I think, like I've already said, today's result does wonders. Does absolute wonders for confidence. It's a shame that we'll have Hall on the sidelines for a couple of weeks now for suspension. But look, we'll see how it goes. I think in the position that we're in the league now, after winning that game, I think it does wonders. It does wonders. We've got a difficult run coming up though, so it will be very, very testing. Let me know what you thought of the game. If you listened along at home, if you've watched along like me, if you were at the game. I mean, I have never had so much envy as I have today, because that away end absolutely erupted. When that goal hit the back of the net, and you know, because of the deflection, how it like curled up and then dropped in, it was almost like it was in slow motion. Like, I couldn't believe what I was seeing after all the pressure that we'd sustained. So yeah, unreal moment. That is what football is all about, and that's what makes away days worth it. You know, that's worth about 10 away days. That is, you know, like you remember those moments for a lifetime, no matter what point of the season it was in. If it sort of really meant anything, if it's a league game and something like that happens and it's away day, that's what it's all about. But yeah, if you've enjoyed the video, please drop it a like. If you don't already, please subscribe. I think there's only 40, last time I checked, 44% of people that watch this channel subscribe. So there's another 56% of people that do not. So if you're part of that 56%, please do subscribe now, because it helps us massively. And again, thank you for watching.